Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report, powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Okay, before we get started today, consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Maybe give us a like and a comment. Check out our socials. There's always something new on there as well. Check out our merch page, link in the description. And also, you can support some of these new pickleball companies. We've got phenomenal paddles at reasonable prices. Bread and Butter Pickleball up here. PCKL Pickle, another new company, great paddles. Also Fitville, amazing shoes, great price points, very comfortable shoes. And, again, our merch page. And we got some new stuff eventually coming there as well. So pick up a t-shirt. We are going to start today with, today is the interview of Senior Pro Champion Tour Pro, Teresa Tarn. And Teresa has a, for me, a very nice pickleball journey, because it doesn't start necessarily with tennis or a racket sport. She was a D1 softball player and in very short order became a pro. And she's a teaching pro as well. Incredible personality, so fun to interview, a lot of great insight. So I hope you enjoy the interview with her, and check out her links in the description for her sponsors and her website. And she's a camp that I would go to, or a clinic I would go to, because high energy, super fun, and a lot of wisdom. All right, here's our interview with Teresa. Welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, Teresa Tarn.
Hi there. Thank you.
So it's great to have you here. It looks really nice there. Where are you?
It is. I am in Punta Gorda, Florida.
Okay, yeah. I'm in rural New Mexico, and it is 21 degrees.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think it's mid-70s already here, so it's already warming up quickly.
Yeah, it should warm up here. We live in a valley that has extremely huge temperature swings. So today is actually supposed to be about 65. Nice. So it just, it's a very odd little weather environment that I live in. I kind of live in a box canyon, so it's just really cold in the morning, in the winter, and then it gets into something decent by midday usually. So not too bad.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with your background, because it seems that everybody I ever talk to, at least at a very high level, the professional level, comes from either some sort of racket sport background at a high level, usually tennis, usually, D1, or at least some pro ball. Yours is a little different, and you did it in a very efficient time, becoming, a novice to pro. So talk a little bit about your background, and maybe touch upon, if there were, because it doesn't appear to be, what the challenges were to get to the highest level, not coming from a racket sport.
So my background in sports, I played basketball, volleyball, and softball. I chose softball because it was the one sport in college that went on spring training. When you're 18, the thought of going on a vacation, so to speak, is exciting. So I chose softball. I walked on at Michigan State, and within the first 2 months, I had myself a full ride scholarship. And my story is written from there. I played third base, and then my senior year, I played a little first base, and I also pitched a little bit when I first started. But I gave up the pitching because I love third base. I love the hot corner. Okay, so right on. Were there challenges though coming from not playing I'm sure you had a tennis racket in your hand at some point in your life and things like that. But what were the challenges? Getting to the pro level, not having a huge racket background. Correct. So I had no racket background. My dad actually played tennis in high school, and never put a tennis racket in my hand ever. Wow. So I was kind of bummed about that. So, but fortunately, I moved to Midland, Michigan. My husband's job took us there, and Midland, Michigan is the hub of Dow Corning, Dow Chemical.
Yeah.
So with that came the professional women's tour. They would come to
yeah.
the facility there and they would do a professional tour hosted by Dow Corning with a $75,000 purse. So it brought in many new, fresh talent faces. So I did pick up tennis. I was not very good at it. Could not figure out the top spin. It was a huge court. And so I dabbled in it a little bit. I worked really hard the 10 years that I lived there and got to the 4-5 level in tennis. Competed on USTA. And so I have a little bit of tennis background now, but I was 40 something when I first picked up a tennis racket. So it was really hard. It was not an easy sport to master, and I still didn't master it. But then I started playing college girls straight out of college at the 4-5 level, and I was getting beat 6-0, 6-0, and I'm like, I'm done. So I'm like, this isn't even fun anymore. I'm not enjoying it. The court's too big. And then once you get to 4-5, there isn't a lot of women who compete at 4-5 in tennis. And so I was constantly playing men. And of course, I was getting my bottom beat, and it just wasn't fun anymore. So I laid up the rackets, and I decided that I was going to try bodybuilding or sport building, basically. Not necessarily building, but more fitness. And so I started, I was going to attempt to compete in fitness training, and that fizzled out. It was too much hard. It was too hard to work, and spending that much time in the gym and giving up all the foods and everything that I love.
I feel you.
Granted, I like a good drink every now and then. So alcohol is not a part of the diet when you're fitness training. So fortunately, when I moved back from Midland, I had a wonderful person named Simone Jardim that I was associated with because of Michigan State tennis. Her husband, Chad, coached my son in softball. And so pickleball, so I have a tie-in with them, and I used to babysit their daughter and while my son was playing baseball for Chad. And so Simone said one day, why aren't you playing pickleball? You're an athlete, so you pick things up really quick. And I said, paddle, plastic ball, not really interested.
No,
didn't sound fun.
Sounds goofy.
It actually totally sounded goofy to me. It did not sound fun at all. So the CEO of a local club said, that's it, Teresa, I'm dragging you out. He dragged me out on the pickleball court, and within 15 minutes I was hooked. I was like, what was I thinking? This is the most amazing sport ever, and I could hit the ball hard, and I could do all these fun things with it. So that's all it took. Within 2 weeks, I was in my first tournament. So I didn't even know what I was doing. But 2 weeks later, I was in my first 3-5 tournament. Actually won a couple matches. Yay! And we went 2-2, and that's all she wrote. From then on, I was hooked. So it's just a great sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to convince me, obviously, and obviously millions of other people. And it's interesting what connections and how many people have really been brought into pickleball directly from Simone.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Obviously, Catherine Parento is probably one of the larger names that most people in the pro tour know. But what an ambassador to the sport. For you, it sounds like you're just competitive. Like you're going to find something that you can compete in.
Correct. And I was looking for something, to fill that gap, that void of competition. And I jokingly call pickleball my crack, because once you graduate and you've competed at the highest level, it's really hard to find something intrinsically that gets those juices flowing again.
Sure.
And so pickleball did that for me. It was not only difficult to master, and still is. I mean, I haven't reached my ceiling, and I know that. But for 2 years, I've given up a lot to get where I'm at on the professional tour, but I've only been playing 4 years. So I've still got a long way to go, but I am now beating some of the top level pros, the tier ones. And so each day I have progression, whether I get on the medal stand or not. That's my success. That's the little bit of brings me back to the sport and wants to excel and keep driving to be the best I can be.
Right. And you're a coach too. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to be a little selfish here. I come from a volleyball background myself. I played indoor. I was generally a setter because I'm 5'8", but I played a lot. My main sport, I played a lot of 2-man
beach, and I got to a pretty high level. But you can only get to a certain level when you're 5'8".
Right.
But let's talk about what it would take. I've been playing what I would call pickleball consistently for about a year and a half. What advice would you give someone like me who has aspirations to eventually get to, a 5-0 level, who doesn't come from a racket sport background? I had a tennis racket, and I, hit it probably, 30 times in my life, and went out and played with friends every 3 or 4 years when somebody wanted to play. But talk about like somebody I think the only thing I can figure out so far, what's really helped me, is I have played a court game with 2 people. So I know angles and I know strategy, but talk me through, like, what's it going to take for somebody like me? I have pretty good hand-eye coordination, but to get to a high level like you've got.
So my sacrifice that I've made is we bought a house in Florida for me to get down here to train. I'm originally from Michigan. And so what does it take? It takes hours. It takes drilling. It takes fundamentals. But here's the biggest thing that I think for a person who doesn't have a racket sport background, somebody will, and this is my struggle in the beginning. Everybody kept giving me information and telling me I was doing it wrong. And finally the little light bulb went on, the aha moment of, you know what, I'm going to make the best of what I've got with the tools that I have, because most of your skills come from your background and your history. And I hate I don't really like the term muscle memory, but it is muscle memory, because you don't have to think anymore. And that's why tennis players are being very successful at this level, is because it's muscle memory for them. They've had a racket in their hand since they were 3 years old. And I've not. Now, if you take somebody out on a volleyball court, your skills are going to be far superior. If I take somebody out on a softball field, I don't have to think. You don't have to think. So the biggest thing for me, and the biggest advice that I can give people, is drill. Name a sport where we don't drill. You'll see people walk out on the court all the time. They barely warm up. Achilles injuries have become a very big injury for pickleball. Most people don't warm up. So ultimately, it's any sport that you play, you have to warm up, you have to drill, you have to make it repetition. And so that's what I do. I practice 6 days a week, on average 6 hours a day, which includes my gym time. And now I'm sliding in teaching lessons and clinics in there, which now I'm having a hard time finding balance, because I love teaching. So I love giving back. I love teaching. It's my passion. It always has. I taught inner city in the Lansing public school system.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So, teaching for me is a way to give back to the sport. And I find that very fun and rewarding. So basically, going back to your question, you have to put in the time on the court. You have to be willing to sacrifice some time to drill and make those habits consistent.
Right.
So
that's good news for me, because I do have a ball machine and I do drill.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, there you go.
I was playing like 4 months and I bought a ball machine already. People are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't think you understand what's going on in my head right now.
People think I'm crazy, so I get it. I totally get it.
So a couple things we have in common. I'm a former high school teacher. I taught in Avondale, which is a suburb of Arizona. And I went to Wisconsin, so I'm a Big Ten guy. So
I love that. Go Big Ten. Now we're talking.
Go Badgers. Anyway,
that's right.
Yeah. So, and the thing that caught my eye or my ears when you were talking, 2 things. One, Achilles issues, and I ran collegiately in college, so I know all about Achilles tendonitis, and I know my sport, running, was basically is other people's warm up. So my sport was the warm up. So I'm really good at and warming up, and I'm very conscious of Achilles issues and knee issues, because I played obviously volleyball and stuff like that. But you're right. I see people all the time. They're walking on the court, and I'm in my mid 50s and they got 10, 15 years on me, and they're just like hitting balls right away and running around. I'm like, yikes.
Well, even just doing a dynamic warm up, just something where you drill back and forth for even 5 minutes, where you go from the non-volley zone to the baseline and then back again, and you yo-yo. That's just a dynamic warm up of getting the blood flowing and movement. And people don't even take the time to do that. They walk up
Right.
and they go, "Oh, how was your weekend?" And they dink a few times, and then, okay, we're
Let's
ready
go.
to go.
Yeah, I know. They always want to start.
Right.
And out here, like, I'm like, it's only 30 degrees yet.
Yeah. Break a few balls.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what we got? We have a newsletter. Yes. Senior Pickleball Report, SPR newsletter, which is cool because it keeps you up to date with not only pickleball, but an emphasis on senior pickleball. There's a link in our description, and you get caught up on all things pickleball. So check it out. Hey, if you're looking for very, very comfortable court shoes, in fact, the most comfortable court shoes I've ever worn, and I've worn a lot of them over the years playing different sports, try Fitville. We have a link in the description that gets you $20 off your purchase. Let's talk about your game and what you're looking for, at least traditional tournament wise this season, and then we'll get into the new league. But have you played some events this season, and what are you looking to play upcoming in 2023?
So my calendar is packed. My schedule changed dramatically when the APP pulled a lot of the events off their schedule.
Right.
So, and now you add in the NPL, which is the Champions Tour. I will be traveling potentially out west 5, potentially 6 times for the tournament, because they have 5 league matches. And so I've backed off on my travel to some of the tournaments out west, and I've been driving to the ones centrally located near me in Florida that I can drive to. I'm also going to start doing a few PPAs. Unfortunately, the Champions Senior Pro brackets are not filling, and they're not as popular in the PPA. Everyone tends to do the APP because APP is just a wonderful event. They serve us lunch. It's more of an event. They really cater to us. So I'll do as many APPs as I possibly can, as well as adding PPAs and the NPL. So my calendar, along with, I teach with Gamma. I've started teaching with Nike Camps and Sarah Ansbury. So I'm veering off and doing clinics on my own now. So my calendar is scary when I look at it. And I have a good old fashioned teacher calendar, you know, the big square ones, because I need to look at it in its entirety. I can't look at it on a spreadsheet. I just get very, confused. So I'm going to be adding a lot of tournaments to my schedule for the remainder of the year. Right now it's kind of slow.
Right. I've talked to some of the senior pros, and it seems like, particularly when I think of this question, I think of Rick Witzkin. He said, I'm so busy that, like, in the season, which he goes is pretty much the whole year, I don't have time to train because, 1, I'm on the road a lot, and 2, he goes, I don't think my body could take playing all the tournaments and then coming home and hitting balls for 3 hours or doing that.
Absolutely.
What's the balance that you have to do with obviously, because you're busy is hell. So.
Yeah. So my morning actually starts at 5:30 with my green shake every single morning. And I literally don't climb into bed until 9 o'clock generally, after training, teaching, and tournaments. So I also am backing off on a few tournaments this year. I did 28 tournaments last year with travel. But there's a reason behind my madness. I did that for 2 years. I wanted to become known. I wanted my game to speak for itself. I wanted to prove myself to those tier 1 pros, because when you come in, you're not known and nobody trusts your game. And it's said out there, a lot of the tennis players say, I'm not going to play with somebody who doesn't have a tennis background, because they know what to expect. They know how to move on the court. Although my original is not tennis background, I do have the tennis. So I'm earning the respect of some of the senior pros, champion pros on the tour now, based on the fact that I do know how to move. I do know how to hit balls. But to go back to your question, the workouts have become too much. I've been missing my gym time, and I'm not cross-training enough. So I'm going to back off on a few of the tournaments. I hit the gym every day, 2 hours every day, a half an hour cardio, hour and 20 of weights. So the only way that I'm going to stay healthy is by hitting the gym. So that I have made a priority for this year, not so much the tournaments per se.
Yeah. And that's something you have to do as we get older. Obviously, you have to do the maintenance.
Correct. I mean, I'm going to be 56. And so which is hard for me to believe. I don't feel 56, but my body at times feels like it's 80, because if I don't take care of it, I know. And stretching is so huge, counterbalance type stuff. So as you know, being an athlete.
Oh, yeah. I'm 3 months away from 56 myself. So it's approaching quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You say it sometimes, you're like, holy cow, that's 4 years from 60.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. That big 6-0, I don't want to hear yet.
So let's talk about the National Pickleball League. And it was interesting when you talk about, even at the senior level, there's sort of this hierarchy. There's the top tier pros and, those who have a tennis background. Talk a little bit about some of your expectations in NPL and what you think, maybe because the teams are much bigger than the traditional Major League Pickleball teams that we see. And we have people who are 4-5 and up.
Correct.
Do you think maybe it'll break down some of those barriers between folks who are top tier, because they'll be participating as well, and they'll have people on their team who they're rooting for, who they may be playing with, who are maybe 4-5s?
Agreed. I don't get so caught up in ratings. 4-5, 4-0. I play people all the time that are 4-0 that you would think that they're 5-0s. Rating systems are really hard to get up, and I'm all over the place. I'm a 4-8 in Zuper. I'm a 5-0 in world pickleball rankings. I'm a 4-9 jumping over in the USPTA or whatever the other one is, USA rankings. So I'm like 4-8 to 5-1 in many of them, but they're all over the place. So I don't heed much I heed on actual play. Can you play and can your game translate? The NPL, so excited, so excited, because this is a team format. This is something that I jumped on immediately because I've done team sports all of my life. I dabbled in singles, but singles is way too much work at my age. So
I did too. I played 2 tournaments of singles. I'm like, I think I'm done with singles.
Yeah, agreed. It's too much work. So but yeah, the NPL affords us the opportunity. And yes, originally they came out, they said 10 people, 10 women, 10 men on each team. I think they've backed off and realized that maybe that might be too much. And now they're saying 6 to 10 on each team. So we have our, as we call them, tier 1 pros, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. And it's kind of how they've rated them. And I think that was based on the system that they set up, the APP set up for the New York tournament when we did the East versus West.
The West,
and so, of course, the East won, which was wonderful. And that was us. But again, Ken Herman is huge. I mean, he's come up with these great concepts. But I think that format is going to be what's going to be carried on in the NPL. So I think the tier 1s will play the tier 1s, the tier 2s will play the tier 2s, etc. But the team format, yes, it's going to be exciting to be able to cheer on everyone within your group. And that was what was so exciting about the New York tournament. So
very
so
cool.
it's just fun. Yeah, we're so excited. It's just going to be, and not to mention so many senior pros out there, champions pros. We don't know, because obviously there's so many people that this has generated so much interest. And so, my Facebook friends count is going up, and I'm like, oh, you're another senior pro, or, you know, so it's just, I love meeting new people. I mean, that's what this is about. And as we get older, the friendships that we are developing mean so much more. I mean, it's pickleball brings us together as a community. And everybody's happy. Yes, we go out on the court and compete, but the minute we come off the court, it's like, okay, what's for dinner? Where are we going? You know, we stick around, we cheer each other on, and then we go out together. And it's a wonderful community of people.
You know, I've noticed that, and I've talked to other pros about this, and because you see it on social media, you can just tell that the senior pros, they're kind of this big family at the end of the day. And if anybody has watched senior pro ball, it is intense and it is very high level, and it can get chippy. But at the end of the day, it's cool to see people going out for drinks and dinner and stuff like that. And I think the fact that you're going to play at a chicken and pickle just really sort of solidifies what you all are going to do. I think this league's going to be amazing. And I think, like anything, once you kind of work out the kinks in year 1 and year 2 and year 3 going forward, you're really building a legacy for people who aren't senior pros right now. And
Correct.
they will have an infrastructure to walk into, which, you know, y'all just necessarily have. So I think that's a very cool thing that, you know, you can all look back at, like, we were year one of this and we started
Right.
building this from scratch. So talk a little bit
Right.
about that and your feelings on that.
So basically behind the NPL, Rick Witzkin, Beth Bellamy, Michael Chen, Tom DiCaprio are the brainchild, so to speak, behind this.
Right.
And they joined their resources and obviously, you know, hired lawyers and are taking a risk, because anytime,
Sure.
as you know, you do a startup, you're taking a risk. And
Mm-hmm.
we appreciate that, that we have value. And we've said along, you know, the Champions Tours have value.
Yeah.
And we're bringing in money. We're paying very closely to the same prices that the young pros are paying for our entry fees. So there is value behind us. So the NPL will have $100,000 purse. Like you said, we're playing at Chicken and Pickle as our major sponsor, or I mean, our major host. NPL East Naples is the first team buyer. So they just bought in as our first team. Or first owner, I should say. So the wind's blowing my hair all over.
It's okay. It's Florida.
It's Florida. It's always windy in Punta Gorda. But for the most part, the NPL's focus and energy is to show value for us, and to be in the startup. It's only going to grow from here. So between sponsors and you know, entertainment factor. Because the senior games, or Champions Pros, as we are now known, we can play pickleball. Yes, you know, we are gritty. We are fun. We are entertaining. If anybody's ever watched Rick Witzkin or Jose Teresi, Jose, they are not only showmen, but it makes it interesting and entertaining. So it's a great opportunity for all of us.
Yeah. I interviewed Jose. Here's my impression. Let's go.
You know, he is a very intense person on the court. He can be very intense, and he can be very I don't want, confrontational is not the right word, but his intensity comes through.
Sure.
And that also gets the juices flowing, because we're older and we have those juices still there. So to be able to express them and get them out is so much fun.
And I interviewed him. He's a sweetheart off the court. His interview was really nice. He's a really sweet guy.
He's an awesome guy.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk before I let you go here. Obviously, I'm going to try and get to 2 events to cover for the channel this year. I'm about 5 hours away from Phoenix in the Valley, and I think the year-ending event is going to be at the new one in Glendale. And then I may try and go to the Midwest to visit my family every summer. So I may try and make, I think there's one in Kansas City that I might try and hit as well. So
great. Awesome.
Maybe I can.
And I would love to meet you.
I'll meet you in person.
There you go. I would love that.
Yeah, that would be cool. So before I get you going, let's talk a little bit about your sponsors.
Okay. So I have, my friends unfortunately call me NASCAR. I have many sponsors. And the reason being is I do love social media. I love posting. Obviously I smile a lot. Because I'm happy. I mean, who isn't happy when you involve pickleball? But Jojo and Lo is a local sponsor that I have. I work with them. They're a clothing brand. It's 2 beautiful women who have created a really fun clothing line.
I know the line.
Okay, so you're familiar. Kinesis is sunscreen. They're out of Canada. Some of the best zinc that you can apply. So fantastic company that I work with. OS First, or the pickleball sock. I love their socks. I mean, they're so, and I also use their leg sleeves as well, because obviously,
cool.
When you're on court all day, it definitely helps. And as a female who wants varicose veins, let me just throw that out there. I've added Parlay, I've added pickleball coffee. There's a new one that's coming out. It is a seltzer drink, Macavita. So I'm adding sponsors all the time, and I stand behind the product. Before I agree to work with a company, I really have to wear their clothing. I have to see if it's comfortable for me, because I have to really like the product that I stand behind. I have lots more, but we don't need to go through all of those.
That's okay.
So.
I always ask, what paddle do you play with?
I am a Gamma sponsored player. So I play at Gamma. So I love Gamma as a family. Gamma is a phenomenal sponsor. They have been utmost professional, and I stand behind Gamma completely. So
right on. Yeah. I think it's great that actually you have a lot of sponsors, because we are in a time where pickleball is attracting the masses, is attracting people who want to try startups. And, you're doing your part. You're trying to get these people also coverage. I mean, they're helping you out with, some
Correct.
products and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're getting them seen because you're on social media and because you use them and you're out there playing. So bravo to
Correct.
you. I have no problem with
Thank
people
you.
helping everybody and raising everybody's level at the same time, because this is a fascinating time to be involved with pickleball. And we're never going to see the likes of it probably again. So take advantage of it while you can.
It's not even, yes, I'm taking advantage of it, but for me, it's kindness and supporting people that are good people at heart.
And that's what I mean. Everybody take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not even, for me, it's not so much about the money anymore, because obviously it's about the joy and the passion. And, bringing kindness, sharing, and creating even a better view of pickleball is just a great way to roll. So
right. Absolutely. Yeah. People at the top, the Beth Bellamy's of the world and the Rick Whitskins, and they're not getting wealthy off winning at pickleball at the senior level. So they're doing it because they love it.
Correct. And not to mention, they're phenomenal people. I mean, I actually look at them as friends and role models. There's so many people out there, Julie Johnson and Murcha and Eva Welsher, and because I know you interviewed Eva as well.
Yep.
There's just
fantastic.
there's just some phenomenal people out there that have become role models for me, and that I aspire to be. And who doesn't want to be Beth Bellamy, the number one mixed, number one doubles, and number one singles woman in the world? But on top of that, even more, she's a beautiful person inside and out. So that's the warm fuzzies that you get with pickleball as well.
Yeah. And that's great. That's great to hear. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time. I hope to meet you in person at one of the events this year.
Absolutely.
Best of luck in 2023, and have some fun at Chicken and Pickle. All right.
We are playing cornhole. If you come, we're playing cornhole.
Great. I'll get smoked at cornhole too.
All right. Well, then maybe we'll do the volleyball thing, because I was a setter too. So.
Right on. Right on. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. And so nice meeting you.
Hey, folks. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Teresa Tarn. And again, her links for her sponsors and her website are in the description. Check those out and support her. All right. Until next time. Hey, let's pickle.
New paddle company, Pickle, PCKL, great paddle line, great price points. Anything you want, from starter paddle to intermediate to a pro series high level paddle. Check them out. Get 15% off using my discount code. Pickle, it's the future.